We are learning more about the shooter's connection to the small Texas church where he opened fire, killing 26 people. Investigators say the gunman's ex-wife and former in-laws occasionally attended services at the church, but they were not there at the time. Meg Oliver reports for WJZ from Sutherland Springs, Texas, with what else we're now learning about the shooter. Meg.
The community of Sutherland Springs is in a state of shock, fueled with anger and sadness over the tremendous loss of life inside the First Baptist Church. FBI agents are on the scene of the deadliest shooting in Texas history. A gunman opened fire inside the First Baptist Church of Sutherland Springs during Sunday services, killing more than 24 people.
It was just so much gunfire.
The victims ranged in age from 5 to 72.
One thing that gives me a sliver of encouragement is the fact that Belle was surrounded yesterday by her church family that she loved fiercely.
Investigators identified the gunman as 26-year-old Devin Kelly, who lived about 35 miles away. Authorities say he opened fire on the church, went inside, and kept firing his assault rifle. When he left the church, a man who lives across the street engaged him in a gun battle.
The shooter got in his truck.
Johnny Langendorf and that neighbor chased after the gunman.
We hit about 95 going down 539 trying to catch this guy until he eventually lost control on his own and went off in the ditch.
We know during that pursuit, the suspect used his cell phone to notify his father that he had been shot and didn't think he was going to make it. Subsequently, he shot himself.
The sheriff's department says Kelly's in-laws and ex-wife occasionally attended services at the church, but were not there on Sunday. Kelly served in the Air Force from 2010 to 2014. He was court-martialed in 2012 on charges he assaulted his spouse and child. He received a bad conduct discharge. The governor of Texas says Kelly applied for a gun permit but was denied. Authorities recovered 3 guns, all purchased by the shooter. As for the injured, 10 are still in critical condition. The death toll could still rise. Live in Sutherland Springs, Texas, I'm Meg Oliver. Now back to you.
All right, Meg, thank you. The victims of the shooting in Texas range in age from 18 months to 77 years old. The names include 7-year-old Emily Ward and her mother, as well as the pastor's daughter. Omar Villafranca reports for WJZ from Texas, where the shattered community gathered in prayer.
Hours after gunfire claimed the lives of more than 24 members of this community, there were candles and tears. Joyce Emily lives in nearby Lavernia.
There was somebody lost in almost every aspect, I think.
Among the dead, 14-year-old Annabelle Pomeroy, Pastor Frank Pomeroy's daughter.
Annabelle's been wanting to ride with me.
In his sermon 2 weekends ago, the pastor talked about how he rode his Harley to church with Annabelle that morning.
She was back there cuddled behind me, and when I pointed at the temperature gauge, I felt her snuggle in even tighter.
Pastor Frank and his wife Sherry were both out of state when the shooting happened. Also among the victims, 7-year-old Emily and her mother Joanne Ward. A friend confirmed her passing on Facebook, writing, "Is it possible to physically feel your heart break?"
We're a small, as we call it, a small little redneck town in the country. Why this church? Why people that I grew up with?
Texas Governor Greg Abbott attended last night's vigil. Earlier, he had some advice for grieving Texans.
As governor, I ask for every mom and dad at home tonight that you put your arm around your kid and give your kid a big hug and let them know how much you love them.
The shooting may have been captured on camera. The church regularly records the sermons and then posts them on YouTube. Investigators are going to look at the video to see if there's any clues into exactly what happened inside the church. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Sutherland Springs, Texas.
CBS News has also learned the suspect worked as a Bible teacher at one point. It's unclear which church.
And here's what you need to know about the deadly shooting in Texas. At least 26 people were killed when a gunman opened fire inside a church in Sutherland Springs. The victims range in age from 18 months to 77 years old. The gunman has been identified as 26-year-old Devin Patrick Kelly, and he died from a gunshot wound. Police say he had a dispute with his in-laws who attended that church, sending threatening messages to his mother-in-law. Stay with WJZ for constant updates on this developing story. We'll have the latest on the victims and the investigation.